title. Recognizing the gentleman from Southern Maryland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're
Amendment
welcome.
at the desk. Amendment number 77322/1.
Amendment number 1.
So be considered reading of that amendment.
So order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
Make a long story short, what this amendment does is put a 3-year statute of limitation on this fine. And let me tell you why I think this is really important. So earlier this year, I get a constituent phone call saying you got a letter from MDE. And he says, well, they said my boathouse is too big. I'm like, your boathouse is too big? Send me the information. So they send me the letter, and I look at it, and I call them up. I said, hey, looks like from satellite imaging, your boathouse is too big. He goes, but it's not. And I was like, I don't know, man. I said, let me, before I step into this, let me check it out for myself. So I drive down to his house and use the smart end of a tape measure it up. And guess what? It's not too big. It's exactly what was permitted. So then I go and find all the permit information and everything, and I reach back out to MDE, and they're like, hey, well, we're going to come out and take a look at this boathouse because we think it's too big. So they come out, we all meet at the constituent's property, and they were like, well, now we believe you that you know how to read a tape measure, but we don't like the configuration of this boathouse. I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, well, it's supposed to be open with a 12-foot overhang on one side, and it's closed in on this side. And I looked, I'm like, it's a 3-sided boathouse where you drive the boat in. It's a great big area, like the size of like from the board over to the wall. I was like, what are you talking about? You can swim into it. You can go under the pier. It's completely open. They're like, well, it's not the exact configuration that we think that was on the permit. And I flipped through the permit. I'm like, MDE signed off on this configuration of the boathouse in the size in 2002. So 23 years later, they're coming after this guy. That is a department that might have a little bit too much control, where they're hassling property owners 23 years after they approve something while we have sewage flowing down the Potomac. Focus on the real problems, which is not homeowners. So with that, Madam Speaker, I would ask that the committee please consider this and put government in check. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
Well, the good news with respect to the concern that the delegate has is that the bill no longer applies to tidal wetlands violations. We did amend it out. But overall, with respect to, aside from that issue, with respect to the delegate's amendment, I do want to point out that it is already law that with respect to civil penalties, there is a 3-year statute of limitations. There is a 5-year statute of limitations provision for administrative penalties. Administrative penalties relate to administrative actions or litigation, and sometimes that can take more time for investigation, for discovery, for resolution, and so that's the reason why for administrative penalties it is 5 years. The amendment would revert that to 3 years. So for that reason, I would oppose the amendment.
The question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? The clerk will take the call. There being 95 votes in the negative, the amendment fails. Are there any additional amendments to the bill as to its title?